How do you go from a negative form of purity, looking away, to a positive form of purity? Are there concrete steps? Okay, so this person who's asking this question has some knowledge of theology of the body. Let me just clarify for those who might not be as knowledgeable here. JP2 talks about the negative form of poverty as a gaining custody of the eyes, right? A turning away, right? It says right in the wisdom literature in the Old Testament, shield your eyes from a shapely woman. Okay, that's from the wisdom literature. That adage retains all its wisdom in as much as we are bound by lust, right? If I know if I'm going to look at this woman walking down the street as an object for my selfish pleasure, then absolutely, I need to gain custody of my eyes and not look at her because I don't want to treat her as an object for my selfish pleasure, right? But JP2 says that is a negative form of purity, and we are called to much more, right? In the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus says, if you even look lustfully, you've already committed adultery. As JP2 says, he's not merely saying to look away. No, he says this is a positive invitation to a pure way of looking at others, capable of respecting what he calls the spousal meaning of the body, right? A man's body makes no sense by itself. A woman's body makes no sense by itself. But seen in light of each other, we discover the spousal meaning of the body. We are called as male and female to spousal love, to spousal union, to reveal in this world the eternal mystery that God wants to enter into spousal union with us. This is our faith. This is what theology of the body is all about, as I said in question number 1, right? So what are the concrete steps to moving from negative purity to positive purity? Okay, let's put ourselves in a scenario. I'll just put myself in the scenario. I'm walking down the street, and there she comes, just a-walking down the street, singing do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-do. She looks good, she looks good, she looks fine, she looks fine. What do I do with my do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dee? That made me laugh. What do I do with it? Okay, we have more than just one option, or more than just two options. There's a third option. Most people think you only get two. I indulge my do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dee, and I say, hey, check that out. Give me some more of that. I want some of that. And I entertain in my mind my lustful fantasy. She gets treated as an object. I get a lustful kick out of it, but I'm degraded and she's degraded in the process. That's one option. Don't recommend that one. Option number 2. I'm not going to think about that. 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 That's bad. That's dirty. That's wrong. I'm going to squash my do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dee. Don't recommend that one either. Nor does St. John Paul II. He says if that's our approach to purity, to take our emotions, our desires, our feelings, our erotic inclinations, and just shove them down into the subconscious arena, if that's our approach, it's only a matter of time before we experience a dangerous explosion of what we have repressed, right? Here's the third option. There she comes, just a-walking down the street. What do I do with my do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dee? I say, Lord, thank you. Thank you for the beauty of this person. Thank you that I'm attracted to the beauty of this person. Thank you for the spousal meaning of her body. Thank you for the spousal meaning of my body. She's not my spouse. I'm not her spouse. To follow through on that would be not appropriate. It would be a violation of her. It would be a violation of me. And yet I feel this inclination. I feel this tug. My do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dee wants to go indulge in that, at least in a fantasy kind of way, if not in reality. What do I do with that? Lord, I see something's twisted up in me. This is not the way you made me. You didn't create me with a sexual desire inclined to use people as objects for my pleasure. That's not your beautiful, good design for the world. Something's gone wrong. Something is off in my heart. Right? This is the whole story unfolded in the Theology of the Body. In the beginning, they were naked without shame. Why? Because they experienced erotic desire as God created it to be, as the desire to love in the very image of God. Right? The do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dee of Adam and Eve, our first parents, whoever they were and whatever their names were, the first human couple, the way it was in the beginning before sin came into the world, the do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dee was a desire to love divinely. Right? Eros expressed agape. Erotic love expressed divine love, sacrificial love. With original sin, we ran out of that wine, right? And you cannot give what you do not have. So what am I recognizing when I see that woman walking down the street and I feel that inclination to treat her as an object for my selfish pleasure? I'm experiencing my own fallen humanity. But here's the good news of the gospel. Christ came into the world not to condemn us for our fallen humanity. He came to redeem our fallen humanity. And this redemption is not a redemption from sexual desire. It's the redemption of sexual desire, right? This means letting Christ into that twisted, lustful, do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dee, and letting him untwist it to become something beautiful. And so there you are, right in the moment. Here's a prayer that's become a part of the very fabric of my life. Thank you, Lord, for the beauty of that person. Thank you for the spousal meaning of her body. Thank you for my attraction to her. Thank you for the spousal meaning of my body. But I recognize, Lord, something in my heart's gotten twisted up by sin. I'm inclined to treat her as an object for my selfish pleasure. I don't want to do that. Lord, I ask you, please, by the power of your death and resurrection, to untwist in me what sin has twisted, so that I might come to experience sexual desire as you created it to be. Or if I want to rhyme, help me to experience my do-wah-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-dee as you created it to be. That's the journey. That's what it looks like. And on the way of that journey, is going to hurt. I mean, there are patterns in our hearts that we need to die to. St. Paul in the New Testament talks about dying to our sinful passions, allowing our disordered desires to be crucified. And we can be afraid that means I'm going to fall into some kind of void. No, crucifixion is not the final word in the gospel. The final word is resurrection, right? We are called not just to die to our sinful passions, we are called to be resurrected to our redeemed passions, where I come to see that woman not as an object for my pleasure, but as a person made in the image and likeness of God, where I desire not to use her as an object, but I feel such awe and reverence for the mystery revealed through her body that I want to genuflect because I see something holy and sacred. Right? This is the journey. It's a difficult journey. It's not an easy journey by any means, but it is worth it. You can't tell me it's not worth it. I know what it's like to lust. I know what it's like to treat a person that way. And by God's grace, I can proclaim I have tasted in real, tangible ways what it means to see rightly and feel rightly and love rightly. It's a battle in there. What am I going to foster? Am I going to pour the fertilizer on the weeds, or am I going to pour the fertilizer on the wheat? Right? Both are in my heart. Both are in all of our hearts. And we can make concrete choices to foster that wheat and right, not feed or foster those weeds. Just some thoughts. I hope that is helpful. There's a third way, and we need to walk it. Here's another practical, just word of wisdom. This is just ancient wisdom, right? All the saints talk about it. Fasting, right? Prayer and fasting. I talked about the prayer that could be helpful. What about fasting? Prayer, fasting. It's the 1-2 punch here. If you can't say no to a potato chip, how are you going to say no to a lustful temptation, right? To that pop-up on your smartphone or on your computer screen, right? Fasting helps us overcome enslavement to our passions, where we assert our mastery over that inclination. I am not going to be mastered by a potato chip. By God's grace, I'm going to take mastery over that potato chip and over my appetite to consume that potato chip. And in saying no, what am I doing? I'm working out. I'm working my self-mastery muscles, right? I'm exercising those virtue muscles. Fasting is the exercise of self-mastery muscles. Absolutely critical as a practical way of living out that positive form of purity. Right? And it can be scary to say, okay, I've been working out those self-mastery muscles. I've been gaining custody of my eyes. Am I at the point where I could actually see her in a right kind of way? That's that moment of getting out of the boat, right? And that's scary. I'm like, whoa, I don't know if I should even get out of the boat because I'm afraid I'm going to sink. That's where Jesus is. He's out there. He's out there amidst the wind and the waves, right? Calling us out of the boat, calling us. What's the metaphor? What's the working allegory here in the walking on the water story? I mean, I really believe Peter walked on the water, don't get me wrong, but there's a deeper allegorical meaning to it, right? For us applying in our own spiritual lives. What is it? If I keep my eyes fixed on Jesus, even if there's wind and waves and turmoil and chaos, fix my eyes on Jesus, I can do the impossible. I can do what in my fallen humanity I cannot do. In my fallen humanity, if I set my gaze towards that woman, I will treat her as an object for my selfish pleasure. But if I'm setting my gaze on Christ, I can see her rightly. I can see her with the sacramental lens, meaning I see her body as a sign that points me to the glory of heaven. There's an interesting scene in the gospel, and it's actually not the gospel, it's the Old Testament, the story where these perverted old men want to rape the wife of this guy, and they set up, she comes into the garden, they're hiding behind a tree, and they know they got her trapped, and they want to rape her. And it says right in the biblical account, it says when they were filled with lust for her, they refused to allow their eyes to look toward heaven. Wow, what a powerful description of what lust is, right? It's the refusal to see another through the sacramental lens. We don't want to let the beauty of the person point me to heaven. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in that. Time out. The beauty that you're looking at in that woman's body is just a sign of the beauty of heaven. Indeed, woman's body is a sign of heaven on earth. Because what is heaven? It's the dwelling place of the Most High God. What did woman's body become through the incarnation? It became the dwelling place of the Most High God. Lust is the refusal to allow your sights to look towards heaven. Seeing the other with a sacramental lens is recognizing that beauty is meant to point me to that beauty. Small b beauty is meant to point me to capital B beauty. And that reminds me of something St. Augustine said. If you find yourself attracted to beautiful bodies, praise the Creator for those beautiful bodies, and then allow the beauty of that beautiful body to lead you towards the true beauty for which you long. If the beauty of the creature is that stunningly beautiful, then how infinitely surpassing is the beauty of the Creator who designed that beauty. There it is, seeing with the sacramental lens. All right, there's one final question here. I said this was going to be a lightning round. It wasn't so lightning fast, but I hope the nuggets that I've been sharing with you, even if they weren't lightning fast, I hope they have been helpful. Food for thought.